We should leave Afghanistan to its own devices. We should leave Iraq. We should mend our own society before we start intervening all over the world at America's behest. This society here in Britain and in the north of England is broken. We ought to fix this one first before we go out to the rest of the world pushing and shoving on America's behalf. I believe that a great change is coming over our politics and over our society. You saw it putatively in that question time debate. We're the demographic majority, and yet everyone in that studio was sneering at our point of view. We are the populist majority, yet the entire political class define themselves by being against the sort of viewpoint of people in this room. Why is that? It's because they're all the same. We're ruled basically by one party. It's got a centre-left wing and it's called Labour. It's got a centre-right wing which appeals to the south of the country, broadly speaking, and it's called Tory or Conservative. They switch around a sort of a pivot in the middle that provides them with the ideas, and it's called the Liberal Democrats. But if you look quickly between the red and the blue and the orange, there's really no difference between them. Tiny little differences are magnified out of all proportion, and yet when the opposition arrives, as occurred in that studio the other week, they all turn on it. They all know what they're against, not what they're for. What ought they to be for? Many of our people next May will vote for Liberal, Labour and Conservative politicians. They will imagine them to be honest. Look at the expenses. They will imagine them to be patriotic. Look at the false wars such as Iraq based upon lies and Afghanistan based upon corruption and even more lies. They will expect them to wish to see the public finances corrected. Every man and every woman in this room is £55,000 in debt, conceptually, because of the enormous amount of debt that has been levelled down on everybody to save the banks, to fuel mass credit, because we no longer make anything in this society at all. We virtually have no primary industry, no coal industry, no steel industry, no car industry, no motorbike industry, a withering nuclear industry. We increasingly make no consumer goods. We import them from the third world and the Far East using credit and bought money which has to be paid for, and which will be paid for with violent cuts in public services in the next 3 to 5 years. Cuts in police, cuts in nurses, cuts in social welfare, cuts in frontline services. Many people now will work their whole lifetime and there'll be scant pension left at the end. Scant pension left at the end. These honeyed times that some people thought they enjoyed in the 60s and 70s and 80s, where there seemed, before the Thatcherite recession, to be a lot of employment and a lot of easy money around, this is gone. I believe in the next 10 to 20 years there'll be major cuts in social welfare, and much of what the Liberals and Labour Party built in the 20th century will be scythed down. The National Health Service is creaking at the edges. You go into the NHS now, even though the operations are still good, you go in reasonably healthy and come out looking like the Elephant Man. And this is how much of it's gone. All of our bureaucracies are sordid and run down. Go outside this country and come back in, and you see the defeatism, the cynicism of our rulers, the lethargy of those who are in power, the lying of the BBC and the rest of the media, the refusal to talk about immigration, the refusal to talk about patriotism.